Welcome back. It's time for our daily press review, and we're glad to be joined by Dr. Mervat Madkour, Professor of Political Economy of the Middle East Research and Development. Good morning, Dr. Mervat.
Good morning to you, Naveen.
And we start from Al-Ahram and we read its main banners from its front page. 2016, the year of Egyptian youth. The President issued 8 presidential decrees to activate the role of youth in the fields of national work. £200 billion loans within 4 years to help youth in establishing 30,000 companies that would provide 4 million job opportunities. El-Sisi says, we salute our martyrs and we appreciate their sacrifices for Egypt. El-Sisi, nice words and good manners are the evidence of strength and not weakness. Concluding 145 housing units for youth at the cost of £2 billion. A national committee to renew the education curricula within 3 months. A national conference for youth in the city of Sharm el-Sheikh next September. And the President says, my message to the Egyptian youth is preserve your homeland against those who are pushing you to stop believing in it. The homeland is not for a certain group or sect or current. Still with the same issue, which made one of the headlines in Al-Masri al-Yawm, and we read them. El-Sisi says on Egyptian youth, we're facing a war of existence. £200 billion in 4 years to finance the small and medium projects and 450,000 housing units in the social housing project. The Knowledge Bank, 4 digital gates that target 2.5 million researchers, and launching the League of Schools and Universities, and reviving the role of cultural palaces and competitions between university students. Still with the same issue, and from El-Yawm al-Saba we read, the President launches a new revolution for the sake of youth. El-Sisi comprehensive program to finance the small and medium projects for youth at the cost of £200 billion, and building 145,000 housing units. The President launches the revolution of youth from the Cairo Opera House. The President said to youth, the homeland is facing with youth the war of existence, and no one should think that the nice talk and the good manners are but extreme strength. Dr. Mervat, how do you see the significance of the event by President, inaugurated actually by President Sisi, and attended the ceremony at the Cairo Opera House yesterday, and he announced the year 2016 to be the year of youth. How do you see the significance of this event?
You know, definitely, it's a good step forward, especially to really give some hope for the youth. With regard to housing, they are going to establish some housing complexes. They are going to facilitate having loans in building small and medium type companies or projects, okay? And this gives, you know, a chance to combat what? To combat first the always screaming by the youth that they cannot afford having a home and therefore getting married. Okay?
And also creating job opportunities through the mega projects.
With the projects, of course. It's giving them a way to combat what? Job opportunities. Especially that, you know, the development of China rested on small and medium size companies or projects. Why? Because the more people you have, okay, like China, like us, like India, even in India, by the way, the same procedure was followed. Because, you know, it alleviates the burden on the government to find jobs for those who graduate from universities, because the number of those graduating is definitely very, very high. Simultaneously, you know, the Minister for Youth has said that they have renovated around 2,000, you know, small clubs for the youth, and the returning of the League for schools and universities, we have had that in the past. And in the past, these, you know, this care of the youth has really brought into light many who have been talented in the various sports. And besides, if you have, you know, in Gezira, it is, the membership is very high, in El Said, in El Ali, in all the clubs that you know.
Right.
Okay, so nobody can afford it really. The majority of the people cannot afford to pay 250,000 or 200 or even 50,000. Instead of paying it, they would rather pay it in house. Okay.
Also, the president gave a very important message to the youth, preserving their homeland against those who are pushing them to stop believing in it. How do you see this message?
This is also very important. In addition, the launching of the Knowledge Bank will definitely facilitate the job of a researcher to look into books that he cannot afford buying.
Right.
In the first place.
Right.
So it is really encouraging knowledge. As to the message
given to the youth.
The message is damn important. Why? Because we've seen that the youth, some of them, some, not all, are influenced by the social media pages like the Facebook, the Twitter, and so forth and so on. And, you know, this message is telling the youngsters, do not join wrong or bad people. And, you know, the sphere of having a revolution, another revolution. And when I hear the revolution is continuing, what does it mean? It means that we are revolting, not for the sake of this nation, but for the sake of destroying this nation, rather than building it. When if we really, you know, make this match between the individual and his state, the well-being of the state is the well-being, or is paving actually the way for the welfare of the people.
Of course, very important to further boost the sense of loyalty to the country.
You cannot boost loyalty. Look, some people, you know, make having a good job, having a good life, having a luxurious life with where I belong. This is totally wrong. Nobody does this. Okay, and especially Egyptians, who have had a very long history in this land. Okay, we cannot afford to hear what others are putting in the minds of our youngsters. And I appeal to our family values that we have had.
We have to revive those values, of course.
Exactly. Right. Because if I am really bound to my family, I'm bound to my society, I'm bound to my nation. Okay, I want the welfare of everybody.
Right. And back to Al-Ahram, and we read from page 3. The June 30th Parliament is launched today with a measure session. Abdul Al Kamal, Musalhi and Okasha are competing for the post of the Parliament Speaker. On Sunday, Egypt will have a Parliament for the first time in more than 3 years, with the inaugural session of a new legislature. New parliamentary elections were delayed. However, they were finally held in November and December 2015. Still with the same issue from Al-Masri Al-Yawm, we read, in the name of God, we inaugurate the session. The June 30th Parliament is launched today, and in support of Egypt nominates Abdel Al for the post of the Parliament Speaker. The MPs return today to convene after 42 months, and the swearing-in would take 5 hours. And the High Elections Commission says the parliamentary elections is the most transparent ever. And still with the same issue, and from El-Yom El-Saba, we read, Abdel Al, the strongest nominee for the post of the Parliament Speaker. 19 are competing for the post of the Parliament Speaker deputies. The measures session is launched today, headed by Abu Shukka. Dr. Mervat, how do you see the event of the day and the convening of the long-awaited Parliament by all Egyptians?
Definitely, it's the third and last, you know,
step
step in our roadmap, which has been drawn on July 3rd by then
after June 30 revolution
by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi.
Right.
Then he was the High Commission of our army. But let me tell you one thing. I don't like what was going on yesterday, okay, between the various MPs. Okay, competing means I could go into an election and lose it. But this doesn't mean that if I lose, okay, I say bad words about the government, say that there is a conspiracy, say that there are institutions supporting one nominee against the other. This is totally wrong. Especially when it comes from one like Mr. Mustafa Bakri.
Right.
Okay, I'm very glad that he has gone back on his word of not withdrawing. Why? Because we have to learn that we're still young, you know, we're still babies in democracy. And we have to accept losing an election. We have to.
Right.
Okay? And this doesn't mean that people are the government is conspiring against me. Throwing things like that, really, you know, you are looking for yourself only and not for the welfare or the well-being state itself. Okay? So I'm glad that he withdrew his word from withdrawing from this alliance of supporting Egypt. Supporting Egypt means I support the existence of its institutions, Naveen.
Right.
Okay?
Right. What do you think are the most important files or priorities on the agenda of the new parliament?
A lot. Okay. You know, during the last 4 or 5 years, there have been decrees, that have been laws and rules put by people like Mohammed Morsi, by the old parliament which came in 2012. Okay, many are confusing rules or decrees, and they have to be at least revised, all of them, which people say it will take a hell of a lot of time. In addition, I believe, regardless of what Mr. Mustafa Bakri yesterday said, and he went back in his word, as I said, but this is a very transparent election. We don't want to ruin it for individuals. Okay?
Right.
We have really to cause to the outside world that that Egypt is going into a new phase.
Right.
A phase of democracy, a phase of transparency, no interference on part of the president, and it was really amazing what happened on these election days. When I go back in memory and I revise how things went on, it's like a miracle, Naveen.
Right.
What is happening now is a miracle for all Egyptians by all standards. And it has amazed everybody. Whether it be, we were amazed ourselves. You know, when we went in the streets, I thought I was the only one, you know, against everything that was going on. No, I found the whole building was in the street. The streets were filled. Look, what happened on June 30th will not be repeated again. And no, you know, people can stand what has been going on in Egypt, as we did.
Right. And also I would like to know your opinion about the political coalitions. How do you see the role of political coalitions in this upcoming parliament?
I don't like what is going on. Even Tahini al-Gibeli, whom I really loved and admired and still do. But I want people to get over this ego, I. It's we now.
Right.
Okay? This teamwork, this, you know, I deny myself for the well-being of my country. I'm not looking for a post. I'm looking for the well-being of this country. Okay, so personal interests have to be put aside, and instead of having personal interests, I have a country's interest. Where does it lie? Where is it heading? How can I better the lives of those who have been suffering for the past 30, 40 years? Otherwise, they will be empty words thrown by our elite, you know, for nothing. Just to get famous, just to be elected or selected as the appointees in our parliament. Okay, so I'm saying we are still, you know, like a toddler, actually.
Right.
We will grow up with time. And democracy is not something given. It is something earned, Niveen. We have to earn what we're doing. Okay?
And back to Al-Ahram, and we read from page 3, more local news, that the Court of Cassation supports the verdict of the imprisonment of Mubarak and his 2 sons in the case of the presidential palaces. The Court of Cassation has rejected an appeal by former President Hosni Mubarak and his 2 sons, Ala and Gamal, against a ruling issued against them in May of last year. The defendants were challenging a 3-year jail sentence for stealing £125 million of funds that were allocated for the restoration of the presidential palaces. The court has thus upheld the end of the jail sentence. Dr. Mervat, your comment on the case of President Mubarak?
I'm not against convicting ex-President Mubarak, but I am against humiliating Mubarak. At the end of the day, nobody can take what President Mubarak has done for Egypt, you know, as a soldier, okay? He was the one who really you know, headed the first airstrike, and we cannot forget that.
Right. Dr. Mervat Madkour, Professor of Political Economy of the Middle East Research and Development, many thanks for joining us, and have a good day.
Thanks to you, Niveen. Thanks to you.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, with this we come to the end of our daily press review. Stay tuned. We'll be back for resuming the breakfast show.